What if I told you the same man who called Lil Durk his brother might be the reason he's facing life in prison? Snitches, secret footage, and a federal takedown. This story is way deeper than rap. And the craziest part? It all might come down to a live stream from 3 years ago. You're not ready for this. Lil Durk's circle is crumbling. His brothers are flipping. The feds are watching everything, and someone just leaked 230 gigabytes of evidence. This is not a rumor. This is a war. And now, the question is, who's next to betray him? When one man cried in a holding cell, everything changed. The snitching started. The deals were made. And now Lil Durk's freedom hangs by a thread. This is not just a legal case. It's a trap built on trust, family, and silence being broken. Stay till the end, because the final twist will shock you. That would give me 5 to 7 years. I just can't go to trial. I'm not trying to end up like the others. By the others, he was referring to Jam, another individual who allegedly snitched on Durk. But what led to all this betrayal? Here's where it gets deeper. The real shift in the case happened when new police body cam footage surfaced, showing a man named Lil Ted, also known as Didi's brother, begging the officers to let him snitch to avoid jail time. Lil Ted, who is also related to Vonni, was caught at a convenience store with a loaded gun in his jeans. That charge alone is serious, but for the authorities, it was the perfect pressure point. As Ted was driven to the station, tears ran down his face. He pleaded with officers, promising to share information about violent crimes in hopes of being let go. "Please, please," he cried. "I'll tell you everything." In the holding cell, he kept sobbing, desperate to go home. One officer even tried calming him down, telling him, "Relax, we'll see what we can do." Out of everyone involved, Lil Ted was the first to cooperate officially, according to court records. When news broke that someone with the same last name had started talking, many assumed it was Didi. But in truth, it was his younger brother, Lil Ted. As things unfolded, both Didi and Vonni ended up cooperating as well. And why? Family pressure. Mothers and relatives reportedly stepped in, urging them not to waste their lives behind bars. This kind of intervention is common, especially when lifelong family bonds are involved. Police likely took advantage of those ties, putting them all together in a room and watching the dominoes fall. While these men tried to reduce their sentences by cooperating, Lil Durk's situation has only worsened. Earlier today, reports came out that Durk was involved in a fight inside jail. The news spread fast, and even Lil Baby tweeted, "I don't care about anything else, just free Durk." Meanwhile, people were still mourning the loss of Durk's close friend Glee, who was shot and killed in Chicago just last night. Now, with so many connected to him either dead or cooperating with authorities, one thing is clear: Lil Durk's circle is falling apart. And everyone is wondering, who's next and who is really behind all this? Fans quickly noticed something strange. On the same day, several major events were unfolding around Lil Durk. Both Quando Rondo and Lil Tim gave interviews, separately, but released at exactly the same time. While some saw it as a coincidence, others suspected it was strategic. Many believe it might have been a calculated move to give them an alibi, just in case authorities started linking them to a potential setup involving Lil Durk. In the interview, Lil Tim explained his side, saying he was simply trying to protect his little brother. When asked how he felt after realizing it was King Von who died, he responded with regret. "If Von didn't make that move that night, he might still be here. That's just how I feel." He insisted he meant no disrespect to Von's family and claimed he was not chasing clout. "I'm a humble person," he added. But if they had not started it, none of this would have happened. Quando Rondo echoed similar feelings, saying he wished everything had gone differently. "The people on my side, they got kids and families too. All this beef is just nonsense. It could have been settled differently. Maybe through music. We could have done something big instead of all this violence." So now you have two of Lil Durk's known rivals both doing interviews on the same day, both showing sympathy, and both saying the situation should have been handled peacefully. To many, this timing did not feel accidental. In fact, some fans believe these interviews were planned because Durk was about to be released from jail, and this was a way to divert any suspicion. To understand the bigger picture, let's go back to Durk's court situation. His father recently confirmed that Lil Durk was attempting to get released on bond for the third time. He shared that this time, the bond proposal was solid and fair, and the judge seemed neutral, not siding with the defense or the prosecution. "We're hopeful," he said. "Now we just wait for the ruling." Then came a major twist. Prosecutors actually dropped key pieces of evidence against Durk during a court hearing. One shocking part was how they did it. They stood before the judge and announced, "We are dropping this evidence," while projecting disturbing footage that included Quando Rondo visibly panicking on a sidewalk. That clip was tied to a tragic event involving a Savannah rapper's crew and left many wondering, was this courtroom performance appropriate? Yes, dropping evidence was good news for Durk. But the dramatic and emotional way prosecutors did it might stick in the judge's mind during the final bond decision. Even controversial figure Charleston White reacted, calling it a victory. "That dark energy, that drill music, has finally been shut down. I don't think we'll ever celebrate drill rappers again," he said. "This is a win for people who love hip-hop but are tired of the violence." Meanwhile, Durk's attorney Drew Finling provided more clarity. He confirmed that prosecutors had not only dropped evidence, but also stepped back from earlier claims. At one point, they accused Durk of paying someone through a co-defendant to carry out a crime. Now, they're backing off that accusation, saying they can no longer prove it. That change signals a major weakness in the case. Lil Durk's legal situation is getting more complicated and, at the same time, surprisingly weaker for the prosecution. As his lawyer pointed out, the case is starting to fall apart. One major reason? The prosecutors can no longer use his song lyrics as evidence, which was a big part of their case. Without that, Durk's legal team now sees the charges as almost laughable. Here's how it all unfolded. Initially, the indictment did not name Durk directly. It mentioned others, along with one unnamed person. But 3 weeks later, a new version of that indictment, called a superseding indictment, was filed. This time, Durk's real name, Durk Banks, was included. However, the only new detail added was the claim that Durk had released a video that celebrated the crime and made money off it. That was the only update. Millions were being offered for Durk's release, but not all of it was coming from him. Some came from his label. The judge felt that Durk still had access to far more money and assets than he was showing. That raised fears that, if released, he could flee or take revenge on witnesses. This brings us to the case of FBG Jam, a man Vonni wanted to avoid ending up like. After cooperating with the feds and allegedly snitching on Durk, Jam disappeared. Rumors started swirling. Has anyone heard from Jam? It turned out he had been outed publicly during an interview on DJ Vlad's show, where it was revealed that Jam had flipped after catching a gun case. He was wired up and began gathering evidence. The public thought Jam had stayed loyal, especially since Durk had once gifted him $50,000 on IG Live. Jam claimed he was real, even bringing Durk cards in jail. But eventually, the truth came out. News reports later claimed that OTF Jam was found hiding out near Atlanta, and members of F allegedly caught up with him and punished him for cooperating with the authorities. A crime scene photo was even shared, though nothing official has been confirmed. Since then, no one has heard from Jam. What kind of evidence did Jam actually provide? A huge amount, over 230 gigabytes of digital data, including video, audio, and more than 20,000 pages of documents. That's what he handed over to the feds, and it completely shifted the case. It even included an Instagram live video where Durk allegedly first realized Jam was wearing a wire. The situation became even clearer in hindsight when Durk's 2024 interview with DJ Academics resurfaced. Durk had said, "I can spot someone who's going to cooperate in 5 seconds." He knew Jam was acting different, and even started keeping his own circle at a distance. "I do not let anyone know where I live," Durk admitted. "Even my best friend has never been to my house. That's just how I move. I cannot risk anything with my kids around." Despite gifting Jam $50,000 and showing him love in public, Durk now sees betrayal everywhere. During that IG Live, police were already recording everything. They were not watching the money or the words, they were studying the people in the background. Silent moments, quiet tears, body language, it all became evidence. This case is no longer just about lyrics or fame. It's about trust, betrayal, family, and fear, and at the center of it all, Lil Durk is trying to survive a game that keeps changing every day. Tensions online grew when Lil Durk went live, calling out people playing games on the internet and throwing shade, especially those bragging about money. He made it clear he's not like them. "I can do whatever I want," he said, confidently. "Y'all can't move like I can." His energy was calm but powerful, especially as he pointed out someone who just came home after doing 12 years in prison. That man, who had survived over a decade inside, was now out and surrounded by wealth and opportunity. But what caught the Fed's attention were the faces in the background of that IG live. These same men had been spotted jewelry shopping with King Von, showing just how close they were. For investigators, it raised red flags. If someone wanted revenge for Von's death, these guys would be the most likely to act on it. The situation only got more serious when Jam's snitching paperwork became public, leading DJ academics to ask Durk's lawyer, would Durk ever consider a plea deal? The answer was firm: absolutely not. His lawyer explained that this is an all-or-nothing case. "It's a conspiracy to commit case," he said, and Durk didn't participate in any conspiracy. "We're going all the way because the charge carries a potential life sentence. There's no middle ground." What gives Durk's legal team confidence is a key argument they've been saving: the First Amendment defense. His lawyer strongly believes that rap lyrics are protected speech, just like any other form of art. "People sing about dark things in country and rock music too," he said. "But when it's hip-hop, suddenly it becomes evidence?" He added, "Just because someone raps about a story that sounds violent doesn't mean it actually happened. That doesn't mean the First Amendment no longer applies." Because of this, many legal experts believe Lil Durk might walk free, just like Young Thug. Even though Young Thug faced a serious case with lyrics used against him, he was eventually released with time served. Most of the other people charged alongside him never even got convicted. So, Durk's team is hoping for a similar outcome. Durk's lawyer also pointed out that prosecutors often misunderstand hip-hop culture. They treat lyrics and slang like solid evidence without understanding context. "They take a lyric literally," he said, "but in reality, it could have multiple meanings to those in the culture." He explained that outsiders often misinterpret things they don't fully understand, something that has hurt artists in court before. But if there's one thing federal agents do understand about hip-hop, it is that everyone is connected. And that connection is now raising new concerns. Just recently, Brick Baby was arrested, and many are wondering if this could impact Durk's case. In a report, the media confirmed that Durk's bond hearing was delayed, and it might have been to allow prosecutors more time to gather last-minute evidence. Rumors of a new snitch started spreading in the courtroom. This time, it wasn't about Vonni, it pointed to Brick Baby. Only weeks before, there had been a massive federal takedown of Rolling 60s gang members, which included Big U, Brick Baby, Loose Cannon, and others. Now, with Brick Baby behind bars, some believe he might flip and give up information on Lil Durk to save himself. The timing of Brick Baby's arrest has raised serious questions. Lawyers now believe that federal agents could pressure him into testifying against Lil Durk. Why? Because many believe Brick Baby is the reason Durk was targeted in the first place. It all started 3 years ago, when Brick Baby went on a live stream and said something that shocked a lot of people. He claimed, "You can't say Durk never slid for Von, look what happened to Lil Pep." That statement alone sounded like a direct admission, and to some, even a public confession, that linked Durk to a retaliatory act. In other words, he snitched without even realizing it. Fast forward to Durk's arrest, and Brick Baby was once again live streaming. This time, he even brought up that same old interview, drawing attention to it just as Durk was being taken in by federal agents. It was almost like a spotlight was intentionally being put on what started this entire investigation. From that point, federal documents began to surface. Reports revealed that 5 Chicago gang members with ties to Lil Durk's crew, OTF, were accused of being hired to go after Quando Rondo during an LA incident where Lil Pap lost his life. If convicted, the suspects could face severe punishment. But there was confusion too. People began asking, was this really an attempted hit? Or is that something you can't even say anymore because of legal pressure and surveillance? Conversations turned to other related incidents like the one involving FBG Cash, and many began to see how serious and connected these cases were. But things got even messier. Brick Baby allegedly said something worse later on, and this time, it was tied directly to the lyrics the feds brought up in court. In one of Durk's tracks, he raps, "Told me they got a natty, go. Got location, go." Prosecutors claimed this could be linked to an interview where Brick Baby admitted he would have dropped Quando Rondo's location if Durk had asked him simply out of loyalty. In that interview, Brick Baby made a statement that instantly raised alarms, not just in the streets, but in federal offices as well. He said, "At the end of the day, what's wrong with giving my friend the address? That's my boy. He lost his boy. The person who did it could be close. If he had asked me, I probably would have cooperated." On the surface, it may have sounded like a friend expressing loyalty. But to law enforcement, that kind of talk can be interpreted as something much more serious. Whether Brick Baby meant it literally or was simply speaking emotionally, the fact remains it was said publicly, on record, during an active investigation. And that alone makes it dangerous. Federal agents often treat any public statements, especially ones involving violence, as potential evidence. They do not care if it came from a lyric, a tweet, or an interview. If it fits into the timeline or gives motive, it becomes part of the case file. So when Brick Baby said he would have given up someone's location out of loyalty to Durk, it suggested that he might have been willing to assist in a retaliatory move, even if indirectly. But it did not stop there. Brick Baby then doubled down by quoting his own lyrics in the same conversation. He said, "If he make the call right now, I'll hit his line." It might have sounded like a simple bar to most hip-hop fans, but to prosecutors, it is another puzzle piece. Words like these are now being stripped of their artistic context and treated as if they are literal plans or threats. Authorities are increasingly using this kind of language as justification for conspiracy charges or aiding and abetting allegations. This shift in perception from rap being seen as art to being treated like testimony has been debated for years. But in Durk's case, it is clearly happening in real time. Now, with Brick Baby's comments being revisited in light of Durk's ongoing legal battle, his statements are under a microscope. What he saw as loyalty might now be used as legal fuel against someone he once called a friend. And in this federal game, one word said on the wrong day can change everything. So now, with all these people possibly cooperating, it raises a difficult question. Will Lil Durk be sentenced, or will he beat the case? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you support Durk, make sure to hit that like button.